Presently working as the Deputy Director at Disaster Management Institute, Bhopal, has done his PhD in social work from RDVV Jabalpur, a master's from University of Madras and BA from St. Anthony's College, Shillong, Northeastern Hill University. Sir has over 28 years of experience in the varied field of disaster management planning, human resource development, capacity building, research, advocacy and awareness, education and community development in various states of India. Sir has handled major projects including disaster management capacity building program under the Central Sector Scheme, Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India, institutionalization of Incident Command System of India, community-based disaster risk reduction, a joint project of Government of MP and UNICEF, disaster management capacity building program, Government of MP, school safety programs, etc. Major subjects expertise include psycho-social impact of disaster and their management, disaster management planning, disaster risk and documentation, incident command system, community-based disaster management, off-site emergency management planning, tabletop exercise and mock drills, child protection in emergencies, risk perception studies and risk communication, participatory learning methods, result-based management, climate change and disaster risk reduction, project management, project monitoring and evaluation, social science research, hospital disaster management planning, integration of DRR into development process, NGOs and disaster management, networking and partnership development for effective disaster management, corporate social responsibilities, and disaster risk reduction, training need assessments, training design, training evaluation, etc. Now, I would request all the participants, they can ask their query after the lecture. Sir, I welcome you on behalf of Civil IPSA for your lecture.
Okay, thank you very much. It is an honor for me to speak to or speak to you all on this particular topic, that is on community-based disaster risk management. So I am very grateful to IPS Academy for inviting me for this presentation. So as you are aware, there's a lot of disasters which are taking place now and also earlier, and the intensity and the number of disasters which are taking place are on the increase, and it is affecting a large number of people and country, and everywhere it is, I mean, everyone is being affected, as you have seen in the case of COVID also. So in this context, it's very important that we empower the community for management of disasters. So my talk will be on community-based disasters reduction, and I will also try to give a case study of what we have done in Madhya Pradesh. In Madhya Pradesh, we have taken up a large program on community-based disasters reduction. So I'll try to give a case study of that also. So as you are aware, whenever a disaster happens, it is the community which is primarily affected, and they are the first respondents also. So communities are very knowledgeable, and they are able to predict these events also, because they have their own experiences. They have learned from their from the history, and whatever happened is known to them. And there have been a lot of discussions about these events in the community also. So they have over the time able to cope with this disasters. So they have learned to live with this disasters, and they are able to recover from the effect of these disasters. So this approach helps to enable community to be more independent during disaster period and strengthen them to increase their capabilities to manage their own livelihoods and their own situations. See, whenever there is a large disaster, it is very, very difficult for the government and other agencies to reach out to everyone, because they have their limitations of resources, and the priority varies from time to time. So it is very, very important that the community strengthen their coping capability. So whenever a disaster happens, it is the community which is primarily affected. And whenever a disaster takes place, it is very, very important um, that that we increase their capabilities. And the first hour of disaster is very, very important, as you know. That is called the golden hour. The first hour, the help comes from the community itself. Suppose there is something happens in a community, is again the community people, they are able to respond to that immediately. So the first hour of response takes place from the community. So again, it is very, very important that the community capabilities are developed. The impact of disaster situations on women and different vulnerable groups may be different. So the community is able to assess those and able to respond in a particular manner, the way the situations are. So when we speak about community-based disaster risk reduction, what is community? Community is basically, it can be a group of people sharing a lot of common things. So they may have a common hazard history or disaster exposure, or even the vulnerabilities and capabilities. This may be common. So that is another issue, and they have common problems, concerns, and issues and interests, normally common languages and things like that. So what is the community-based disaster management approach? It is basically, it is trying to reduce, the aim is to reduce the vulnerabilities and strengthen the capabilities of the people to cope with the various hazards. See, when we speak about disaster management, there are various issues. One is called the hazards. Hazards are something which can, which are negative, which can happen to the people, which may negatively impact the people. So it can be like the flood situation, or it can be like an earthquake, or it can be like a landslide or something like that. So which has what negative consequences. And because of these hazards, everyone is not equally affected. So the people who are more susceptible are more vulnerable to this hazardous events. So we have to see the people. Suppose in the case of Bhopal gas tragedy, so I'm speaking from actually the Bhopal Disaster Management Institute. So the Bhopal gas tragedy, you may remember, when it had happened, the people didn't have the basic knowledge of what is to be done during that gas leak. The knowledge was lacking. So as a result of that, they were more vulnerable. The people who were staying just near to the industries, they were more vulnerable. So mean to say, there is also vulnerability issue is there. And the third issue when we speak about disaster management is the capacity. So the people should have the capability, the resources, the trained manpower, equipments, and communication systems to manage any type of disaster. So there are three issues. So as far as the community-based disaster risk management is concerned, it is not trying to change the hazardous events. It is trying to build on the vulnerabilities of the people and build on the capabilities and capacities of the people. So that is a basic objective of community-based disaster risk reduction. So involvement results in consideration of felt needs and inherent resources. So as you know, when the tsunami had happened in Andaman, the the tribals people were not affected, because they knew that when the water was receding, they knew that it was a sign that there is going to be tsunami, and most of the people are gone up the hills. So as a result of that knowledge, they were able to manage that situation. So involvement of the people and it will address the felt needs, what exactly their needs are, and the local resources can be identified and used for disaster management. So community-based disaster risk reduction or disaster management focuses on the felt needs of the people, and also the effective and proper utilization of local resources. Likelihood of problems addressed with appropriate programs. See, again, even if it is in a disaster rehabilitation phase also, when you are having a community-based approach to disaster management, the issues can be properly addressed. Is there an issue? Are you able to hear me?
Sir, you are audible, but we can't see your presentation.
Okay, it is not shared.
No, sir.
Okay, let me see how it can be shared.
Sir,
No, 1 minute. Let me my PowerPoint.
So you can share your screen from more actions.
Yeah.
Sir, so there is an option near
Yeah.
leave. So leave meeting, near mute option. So share content.
Share content is.
Yes, sir.
Let me see. Let me see.
We can see the box.
box and a arrow,
It's
sir.
a box and arrow. Sir, icon denoting box and the arrow.
Yeah, this one.
So share content. Sir, or you can
Yeah.
Control plus Shift plus E.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
So you are not able to see this thing presentation?
No, sir.
Sir, you have to share your screen, sir.
No, I am sharing that one, but
You just press that arrow.
yeah, this one.
Yes. Now, some 2-3 screens where you might see. Then you have to click that particular screen which you want to share.
Okay. Yeah. Is it okay now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. See, I have actually gone to open share tray.
Sir, if you see, there will be a desktop option after clicking on share screen.
What is it? Desktop.
Yeah, when you share screen,
Yeah.
there will be a desktop. Select the desktop option. Then everything that you do on the desktop will be visible on the screen.
No. What is to be shared?
You select the desktop option.
Desktop. Yeah.
Yeah. After clicking on share, you select the desktop option. So then if you switch
your
among the
entire
apps,
screen. Okay, share.
yeah,
Okay.
entire screen.
So now it's is it
Yeah. It's
is it
visible,
okay?
sir. Now, yeah, anything you switch between apps, it will be visible. Yeah, yes, sir, it's
Okay.
visible.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we were actually trying to speak about the aims and objectives of community-based disaster risk reduction. Basically, we are focusing on vulnerability reduction and capacity building, and involvement of the people will also result in addressing the felt needs as far as the disaster response and recovery, and also disaster preparedness, prevention, and developmental integrations are concerned. And basically, communities is the main actor in this, and there are certain processes for community-based disaster risk reduction. The foundation of community-based disaster risk management is the disaster risk reduction activities. So there are various stages. First of all, before we start community-based disaster risk reduction, we need to select the community. So how do you select a community for community-based disaster risk reduction? So normally it can be done, say you can address the community or select a community which is prone to disasters. Like there could be certain flood prone villages, or there could be certain landslide prone villages, or there could be certain settlements which are prone to like accidents or industrial disasters and things like that. So you can identify those communities and select them for community-based disaster risk reduction. Once you select these communities, then the next thing is to understand the community. How do you understand the community? You need to understand the various dynamics in the community, the leadership pattern, the language, the systems, and things like that. And third thing is participatory risk assessment. And this participatory risk assessment will involve participatory hazard assessment and participatory vulnerability assessment, and also the resource identification in the community. So, and then once you do all these things, then we go for community-based disaster risk reduction planning, participatory risk reduction planning. And again, whatever you plan, it needs to be managed and implemented by the community. So again, this process needs to be monitored by the community and evaluated by the community. So the first thing is when you select the community, you have to present certain criteria. For example, if you are wanting to do community-based disaster risk reduction, in some places you select certain areas basing on the disaster proneness, or sometimes it may be like most vulnerable communities, or the least served by NGOs or the government agencies. So sometimes the communities themselves, they approach certain agencies, the government, the local self-government and things like that for initiation of this community-based disaster reduction process. But sometimes the agencies can also initiate depending on the hazard profile, vulnerability profile. In some cases, the community members approach the organization, the local self-government, or the NGOs or the educational institutions to initiate this community-based disaster reduction process. In many cases, an impending disaster threat can be turned into an opportunity for initiating. Suppose there are certain warnings which are given that there is going to be some disaster going to happen in your place. So that could be an opportunity to initiate community-based disaster risk reduction in any of the localities. So third thing is understanding the community. So when we understand the community, what we need to do, we need to look at the various social groups which are existing in the community. What is the dynamic? What are the women's group, the children's group, or youth group, or even there could be some other other groups based on various parameters. So we need to understand the community by assessing the various type of groups which are existing, and the cultural arrangements, the celebrations, the festivals, and the language and things like that, and also the economic activity of the community. What are the primary activities, whether it is agriculture based or industry based or service based? We need to understand the vulnerable households and groups. So again, suppose you are going for a village which is prone to flood. So we need to understand which are those households which are primarily affected by floods on a recurring basis. And in those households also, who are the most vulnerable people, whether the old people, the pregnant ladies, the children, the differently abled people, they are all more vulnerable. So we need to understand who exactly are the most vulnerable people and the property which are most vulnerable. That needs to be understood and that needs to be assessed. And participatory risk assessment is another process. So community risk assessment has four components. So first is the hazard assessment. Now, suppose you are wanting to do a community-based disaster risk reduction process in a community. The primary thing is we need to go for a community-based approach, and then in that we need to go for a hazard assessment. So when you do the hazard assessment, there are certain techniques which can be used. Like for example, if you want to assess the various hazards of a community, you can go for a method called timeline. Timeline is an analysis by which you are able to see what type of hazardous events have occurred in that community, maybe in the last 30, 40 or 50 years. So you have to initiate a discussion among the community people with a cross section of their leaders and representatives. You need to have a discussion about the various type of hazardous events which have occurred in that community in various years. For example, in 2020, what type of hazardous event has occurred, or 2019 or 2018, like that. If you take the data of around maybe 20 years or 30 years, so you will be able to understand what type of hazardous events normally occur in these communities. And the second, maybe the hazard analysis community-based process would be seasonality diagram. So in which season, what type of hazardous events occur in that community. For example, in the month of January, you may have a cold wave, or April or May, you may have something called heat wave or even drought situation. So depending on the seasons, you need to again initiate a discussion among the community people and have an assessment from their perspective. It is not that we have to do the assessment. Actually, when we have a discussion or focus group discussion among the community members, we are able to assess the various type of hazardous events which may occur in different seasons. So that needs to be done. That can be through seasonality diagram. So in different months, what happens in the month of January, February, March, like that, we have to go for 12 months. So again, you have a discussion among the people, and they themselves will come out with their own suggestions that this type of hazardous events occur in this month. And maybe in we have September, I mean July, August, September, we have rainy season, we have floods, or sometimes we have malaria, sometimes we have dengue, or this type of seasons. So you have to have a seasonality diagram and a discussion on that among the people, and they will be able to come out with what happens in different seasons. And by doing this process, people becomes conscientized. They become aware of what all hazards occur in various seasons, what all hazards have occurred in the past through timeline methods. And third method of involving community for hazard assessment is through hazard mapping. So for this, first of all, we need to make a map of the community or the village for which we are working. And again, the map will be made by the people. So people's representatives will be able to make this map, and then they themselves will say that this area is prone to flood, this is prone to fire, these areas are prone to have maybe transport, accidents and things like that. So again, you make the map, make the people do the mapping, and then help them to identify the hazard prone areas in that map. And again, so that will give an idea about their knowledge and understanding, and also these people, the community people will be able to present this one to the larger community. So by way of that, the hazard assessment can be done. So we spoke about three methods of assessing hazards. One is the timeline, the second is the seasonality diagram, and third is the hazard mapping. And fourth way of doing is called transit work. So you make a round of the village or the settlement where you are initiating this community-based disaster reduction process, have a cross-section of the people represented in that team, and along with them you have a observation of the entire area. And this transit work will help the people understand what type of areas are prone to hazards, what type of issues are there, and things like that, and have a discussion on that. So we spoke about various methods of doing tools and methods of doing hazard assessment, which can be easily done in a community level. And second important issue is again vulnerability assessment. So are you able to follow me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is there any issues? Things are okay?
No, sir.
No issues, sir.
You may continue.
Okay. So the second issue, as far as the community risk assessment is concerned, vulnerability assessment of the community. So vulnerabilities are the susceptibilities and conditions which makes the people more prone to the impact of hazards. So again, as I said, all people in the community are not equally affected by hazardous events. Certain people and property are more affected because of its proximity, maybe because of lack of knowledge, lack of awareness, lack of organization, lack of education, and things like that. So again, we need to know who are the people and property most vulnerable to the hazardous events. So that needs to be assessed. Again, this assessment needs to be done by the community people. So it is not like experts will come and impose on them. Again, you initiate this process and have a discussion with the people, and they will tell you as to who are the people most prone to flood or accidents or even landslides or earthquake impacts and things like that. So vulnerability assessment, by which we are able to identify the vulnerable people, the property in the community, which are more prone to hazardous events. So we need to identify which are the differently abled people in the community, how many people are there. So they may be most affected because of a particular type of hazard. So there could be some areas in the village which are more prone to flood, impact of flood, because of the proximity to the riverfront. So we need to identify those houses and people. There could be certain pregnant ladies who could be more affected by disasters, or there could be old people. So even in the case of COVID, you see the comorbidities. That is it's another vulnerability which is affecting the people. So that needs to be identified and assessed. So the second important thing is vulnerability assessment, and this again needs to be done through a community-based process. So that is very, very important. Here the process, as far as the community-based disaster risk reduction is concerned, the processes are very, very important, and how it is applied. And the third thing is capacity assessment. So again, we need to assess the capacities of the people. What type of resources are available to the people? So that needs to be assessed. So in case of disaster, what type of resources are required? There are around, say around 14 type of resources which we need. The resources for example, if there is a disaster, we need resources for early warning. So if people need to be given warning, so whether are you having a communication system, which is not going to be affected by disasters. So one is the communication resources, and whenever a disaster happens, we need to also search and rescue people. So people needs to be rescued. So whether you have resources at the community level for rescuing, are there trained people, are there resources in and around the villages which can be mobilized within a short time? So search and rescue resources. And third thing, maybe transportation resources. People who are affected, they need to be transported after rescuing. They need to be transported to safe areas. So are you having at the local level certain resources which can be used by the community? That needs to be identified. There could be medical resources. There could be people who are trained in first aid, or there could be some dispensaries or community health centers, or those things are in and around the community that needs to be assessed. So there is a medical resources, and then there could be helpline. To establish helpline, are there any resources? So once people are affected, they need to be shifted to temporary shelters. So are there some places where people can be organized in relief camps? Are there places? So are there resources and schools or open grounds or tent houses and things like that? Are they available? So those needs to be assessed. So this various type of capacities in the communities needs to be identified. And in order to assess these capacities, there are certain methods. One is called resource mapping. One is called resource mapping. You make the entire map of the community, just like the hazard, the community and the village area, and then you identify what type of resources are available for disaster response and preparedness and rehabilitation in the community level. So that needs to be mapped. That is called resource mapping, and that needs to be tagged, and that can be made available. So that is the first assessment for capacity building is capacity assessment is resource mapping. And the second thing is resource inventory. So again, we need to make a resource inventory. So what type of resources are available in the community? And it could be in the community, or maybe in the proximity of the community, maybe within 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, 30 kilometers away. So how much time it will take these resources to reach the community? So those needs to be also identified. So the resources in terms of manpower, equipments, hospitals, fire brigade, no trained manpower, government resources, NGO resources, industry resources. So all this needs to be identified and categorized, and then need to be, I mean, we need to also identify as to who are the contact persons to get these resources. So their numbers, their addresses, not only their mobile numbers, even their landline numbers and addresses. Because sometimes when the disaster happens, these numbers, they do not work. So we need to have their physical addresses and things like that. So that needs to be categorized like medical resources, communication resources, or shelter resources, food and water, sanitation resources, and things like that. So those needs to be identified at the community level. And another important issue is that what are the people's perception of risk? What do how do they perceive? Whether there is a so we need to identify what people perceive as the risk, and what do their understanding of the risk. That also needs to be assessed. Participatory rapid appraisal tools are adapted for the community risk assessment. So there are certain things called like PRA techniques. So participatory rapid assessment techniques like the social mapping or resource mapping, or vulnerability mapping. There are certain tools which are used by people who are working with communities. So they are called PRA, or even if it is used in rural urban areas, it is called urban participatory methods. So those needs to be used. And disaster risk reduction planning, preparedness and mitigation measures to reduce disaster risk are identified. Again, next step is to no preparedness and mitigation measures to reduce the disasters. So suppose they find out that they are affected by floods and there are disaster risk. So they need to, at the community level, what needs to be done by the community to reduce the disaster risk needs to be identified again by the community. So you will have a discussion with the community. Community will identify what needs to be done. So they may, suppose it is a drought-prone area, they may identify certain things like maybe check dams or even water harvesting, or using less water, and water conservation methods and things like that. So those needs to be again identified by the community and prioritized and selected by the community. So the entire process is community driven, and people get involved, and their perceptions are taken into consideration, like local hazards are taken into consideration. Everything is from the people's perspective. The important point is to start off the risk reduction process through community mobilization based on existing capacities and resources within the community. So suppose there are in the community certain groups are there, some youth groups are there, women's groups are there, some local self-government, the Panchayat Raj institutions are there. So whatever resources, whatever capacities are there, we have to build on that. That is very, very important. Overall objective strategies are translated into operational plans. So once you decide as to we have to reduce the risk of the community, so we need to break this action point, break them into action points, and then these action points needs to be given to certain groups and certain people in the community to execute. And for that, we need to also mobilize resources. So, and these resources can be in terms of local resources, means voluntary services and contributions from the community. It could be from the Panchayat Raj institutions. It could be maybe through CSR activities, corporate social responsibilities of certain factories, or it could be like there could be some temples or other religious places. They could also contribute for this risk reduction activities. At the planning stage, agreements with intermediate organizations are formalized regarding their support in the risk reduction plan implementation and their expectation requirements for resources which they commit for mobilizing the community and execution this. So again, as I said, these type of organizations, we need to have an agreement. So what will be contributed by the local self-government? What would be contributed by maybe certain shops or mandir or any other organization? So that needs to be identified, and certain agreements, and they need to agree on this. Now, how do you implement a community-based disaster risk reduction process? So we can form a committee in the community. It could be a disaster management committee, or there could be certain like committees already working, like Mandir committee or volunteer team, NSS, NCC, or even women group, or youth group and things like that. So they could be used for implementation of community-based disaster risk reduction programs. And network. So there could be very options. There could be project management committee. There could be mandir committees, voluntary teams, disaster management committees. So these groups can be motivated to take up, and this can go on after making certain adjustments and things like that. And monitoring and evaluation. Evaluation is concerned with the effects of the risk reduction measures in terms of reducing the vulnerable situation of the community. And this again, the community people will, from time to time, they come together and have meetings, and they evaluate what is the impact of these measures which they have taken up and what needs to be modified. So this is one way of doing it. And you have any questions at this stage? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any questions at this stage? So otherwise, if there are questions, then we will go. Otherwise, we have a case study.
Yes, sir.
So,
Participants, do you want to ask any questions? You can ask to sir.
Sir, how did you identify the
yeah.
how did you identify the community, sir?
Yeah, so I will, that's what I was thinking. I will present that case study. So that will give you some idea about that. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Most of them are saying that we will ask the questions after case study.
Okay. So this, my screen is visible now? Hello?
Not yet, sir.
Not, okay, okay. So,
Sir, you have to please
yeah,
repeat the process that you have done earlier, sir.
okay.
Yeah, yes.
So we go, okay, desktop. Then share, no?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, is it okay? Visible now?
No, not yet, sir. Sir, sir, I think you have to click once again on that arrow, share content arrow. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then select the desktop.
yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay now?
Yes, sir. Now.
Is it visible? Okay.
Yes, sir. It is visible now, sir.
So I was speaking about various theoretical aspects for community-based disaster risk reduction. So I'm going to share a small case study and where we have implemented community-based disaster risk reduction process in around 250 villages in Madhya Pradesh. So I will share a brief case study of that. So you asked about community-based disaster risk reduction, how you select the villages. So one of the important thing is we need to select the villages, identify all this. So I will tell you what we have done in those selection process. In our case, we have selected the villages which were most prone to various type of disasters through district administration. So every district is having a district disaster management authority after as per the Disaster Management Act of 2005, which you may be aware. So there is a Disaster Management Act of 2005 which has been passed by Parliament and then as per this act, every district is supposed to have a disaster management authority headed by the district collector. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I was telling that we have selected the villages which are most prone to various type of hazards through the district disaster management authority. Okay, and these were suggested by the district authority. So we can select through the selection of villages can be based on the existing system. So there is a disaster management authority existing at the district level. So they may be able to suggest as to which are the areas which are more prone to various type of disasters depending on their data availability. Okay. And second thing is what we have done, identification of hazard vulnerability and capacity assessment through participatory rural appraisals. So again, we have used timeline discussion, hazard ranking, hazard and vulnerability mapping, hazard calendar, gender role metrics, wealth ranking, and things like that. So we'll come to each of these in our case. So for example, in one of the villages in Raisen, we have done this timeline analysis. So the people have come out and they said that this many years they have faced with so many floods and this type of things have happened. So again, people themselves have come out with this thing. And in some of the places they ranked what is the biggest hazard in their village. So again, to rank this one, we can do through voting, we can do. or what people feel that which is the biggest hazard. No, through voting, we have given certain beans and things like that to the people. So we have identified what are the hazards, and then they have placed maximum number of beans wherever they are placed. That becomes the biggest hazard as per the people. So again, we had to use a activity-based method. So hazard ranking, then we can also identify the resources, what type of resources are there. Again, people make the map and they identify what type of resources are available in the village. So, and hazard mapping, again, people have come out with their the village map, and they said no, in for example, here in 1965 the floods have reached up to the red area. So different years, what type of hazards have occurred and how the people were affected, that was been mapped by the people. Then in order to assess the vulnerabilities of the people, see, normally as per the research, we know that the most economically weak people, or no, those who are not having resources, they are the most affected. So in order to identify the most vulnerable people in the flood prone village, we have again done a participatory process of wealth ranking, and we have given numbers to each of the houses, and then people have said who are the rich, who are middle, and who are not so not so poor, or different categories. So that also gives an idea as to whenever a disaster happens, which are the families who will be most affected by disasters. Then the role of various gender, the women and the men, what are their roles? So that also we have done some participatory assessment. And then we have also initiated certain community awareness programs. See, community-based disaster reduction, the community awareness component, the empowerment and the knowledge component is very, very important. So awareness generation is another method which we need to emphasize. And here also we have used certain local, like rallies. We have come out with street plays, local folk songs, and school teachers training, children's training, and things like that. So, for example, in Harda, in Dawalpur, we have done awareness songs. They are actually affected by floods and fires. So they have come out with a song on flood, and they had a Ramayana Mandali at the local level. So with the help of that community-based organization, we have come out with this type of awareness programs. So I said, no, local communities, local say committees which are existing needs to be utilized. Then street plays in Harda and other places we have done through certain community groups. Then we have also come out with awareness rallies at the community level. Then we have also come out with certain like do's and don'ts regarding various disasters. Then children's involvement, their training. So this type of activities we have done, and we have also taken up various training programs through Red Cross and other agencies, and communities were told as to what is to be done, what needs to be done during a disaster. And community meetings, again, community level meetings with cross section of people, with children, with women, and that needs to be done. And then we need to initiate this process of discussion about the hazards, the vulnerability, the capacities, and what needs to be done during a disaster. So community meetings involvement is very, very important. So if you have this community-based approach, you don't need to have a special training, because it is a process-oriented activity. And for community level preparedness, again, we have had community village disaster management committees were established, and various task forces and groups in the community level. So they were also established. For example, in a village, there was a village disaster management committee established in those villages, and we have selected the sarpanch as the leader and things like that. and others also were there. And then there were other groups like information dissemination, search and rescue, first aid, water and cleaning, relief coordination. It could be like search and rescue also. It could be also transportation. So depending on what the people need are the most important groups which are required in the community for managing a disaster. So then again, the task forces, they came out with their presentations. It was actually in Dhar district. They said, we are a group which are going to do the search and rescue in case of a flood. And so we will do this type of activities. We will get help from this type of people. So they came out with this type of presentation in front of the entire village. So as a result of that, the entire village is aware of as to what is to be done and how the process will take place, whom to contact and things like that. Another thing we have done in this community-based disaster reduction process was that we have actually painted the important contact numbers of various functionaries in the prime areas of the village, like maybe in the community center, village panchayat office and things like that. So by using these numbers, many of the people in the community, whenever there was a disaster, they were able to contact them and able to get help for disaster response and even for support. So again, the various disaster reduction programs were again discussed in the Gram Panchayat during the Gram Sabha meetings. So that is another important issue which we have taken up. And so this way we were able to do this work. So this is a small case study, and in this process the community has also prepared a disaster management plan for the community, and they try to implement this. Okay, I think now we can open the session for question and answers.
Definitely, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah.
So participants, please ask your questions and queries. Sir, actually, it is a very nice presentation, sir. Right now, whatever the things you have explained, they are just in front of us. As today also, we are living in a pandemic only, disaster.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
And sir, I have one question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, everyone is working very hard, sir, for this pandemic, for the disaster management, but still the patients coming are increasing day by day. Everyone is aware of it also now. But still it is increasing rather than reducing, sir. You are also a part of it, sir.
Actually we are trying to do whatever best possible from our side with our limited involvement, but I think the entire community needs to be involved in this one. It is not just a bureaucratic work to issue orders and then forget about it. I think we need to involve the entire community. That is very critical. From the beginning itself, the community, the faith leaders, the entire system, the whole of community approach needs to be taken up. So that is, I think there are so many things which are lacking, I feel, because just by issuing certain orders at say various level, it doesn't get translated into no implementation at the community level. So especially in pandemic, community involvement, community participation, community mobilization is very critical, because everyone is affected. The government has limited resources. So involvement of everyone at various level is very important. Initially, if you look at the medical community was also not involved. If you look at the initial response, it was only few people issuing orders at from various levels. But initially it was at the central level, then it has come down to the state level, and then it needs to actually at the initial stage itself, the down top approach needs to be done for this pandemic management. Then only I feel it can be more, it will be more effective Because ultimately it is the people's responsibility and people's involvement. So that is
True,
one
sir.
thing so the community-based disaster risk reduction is very important, critical, even during the pandemic. So community volunteers needs to be trained, and they will be in a position to support the system, medical system, and others. And even if you look at the social distancing, wearing a mask and things like that, if you go to the villages, we have seen so many places they are not bothered. I mean, recently we have visited some of the villages, nobody is bothered. I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
so actually it is everyone's business. So
True, sir.
that type of motivation, that type of involvement needs to be brought in for disaster management. That's why globally it is an accepted phenomena that community-based disaster risk reduction needs to be accepted, because it is again boiling down to the community level. So
Yes.
that is very, very critical. I feel so.
Yes. So participants, you are free
आपका कोई
now to
क्वेश्चन
ask.
है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं, कोई भी.
Okay, right now maybe you are not getting questions, but you can mail to us, so we can mail to sir, and again we will send you sir response.
Yeah,
Sir,
I hope you got some idea about community-based disaster risk reduction, how the community needs to be involved, and why it is critical for no disaster management policy makers and planners to look at community-based disaster risk reduction as critical and vital for effective disaster management. So thank you very much for your interaction and for your opportunity, Amisa. Thank you very much.
sir, thank you very much, sir. We are honored that you are here today, and I hope you will continue help us or support
No,
us.
absolutely. Anytime you can access our services, we are at your this thing. Okay. So thank
Okay,
you
sir.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye.
So now we will again come back at 2:20. Yes, I will send you the email ID of sir also, or you can take mine right now. You can write the question on in which session you have a question along with that speaker name also. You have to mention two things: session number, speaker name, and your question. Anyone who wants to ask something
Sir.
else? Yeah. Yes, sir. Do you want to ask something?
Sir, attendance, sir. What about, sir?
Sorry, I'm not getting.
Sir, attendance, sir, any links, sir? Attendance links.
For what? Attendance link? No, there is no attendance link. Actually, we are taking your attendance here only. It is through team we can download your attendance. There is no issue. Is it clear, sir?
Okay, sir. I'm coming, PR Maniaras, sir. My name is.
Yeah. No problem, sir. No problem. So, dear participants, now we will again come back at 2:20. Let's take a break of about an hour.
Yeah, good.